The fact that Trump has put relatives in top jobs, both in the White House and in his businesses, makes him a target for ethics watchdogs. But to some in the entrepreneur community, the Trump name is still the gold standard of American success. Last year, the CEO of Trump Hotels and the president's sons, Donald Jr. and Eric, announced big plans: the creation of 2 new hospitality brands meant to expand the family's portfolio, the downmarket American Idea line, and a 4-star luxury line called Scion. Scion deals fell through in major cities, but the company did find a willing taker in tiny Cleveland, Mississippi. It's here, in this 12,000-person town, that a family that models itself on the Trumps will try to bring the first family's new vision to life.
This is the first Scion hotel in America, or at least it will be. It might not look like much now, but soon the rear walls will be replaced with sliding glass doors that'll open to the poolside cabanas. A 13-room statehouse will sit in the back of the property, along with the spa, and out front, on the lagoon, a dock for patrons to, quote, eat, drink, and be merry.
So this is actually going to change.
Dinesh Chawla, the CEO of Chawla Hotels, took us around the Scion with his head of development and operations. He and his brother Suresh own the hotel, but the Trumps have operational control. The financial terms of the agreement are confidential, but the Trumps were paid a consulting fee and they'll earn a percentage of profits. The Chawlas have already spent $20 million building this property, and the additions the Trumps want will cost them another $1.5. But one thing they won't be getting for their money is the actual Trump name. Would you have preferred that it was Trump's American Idea or Trump's Scion Hotel so it did carry, the weight of that brand?
No, I think it would have been more of a distraction. If the president puts out a tweet, I think so much energy is put into dissolving what each verb and adjective means.
Even without the name, the Chawlas think the connection to Donald Trump is worth it.
When I was an MBA student in the 80s, he was one of the men. He was a swashbuckler who was reinventing the Manhattan skyline and taking old buildings and doing something with them. And so he's always been somebody that, I thought was very successful and worth emulating on the business front.
But the Chawlas had another connection to the Trumps. In 1988, a convenience store owner cold-called Donald Trump. He wanted Trump to loan him nearly $500,000 to open a hotel in Greenwood, Mississippi. His name was Dr. V.K. Chawla, and he was Dinesh's father.
He never said anything to anybody. Nobody knew what happened until Donald Trump called back the next day. And my mother answered the phone and said, there's a call from Donald Trump's office.
You're like, this is a prank?
Well, no. He said right away, let me take the call.
What was the advice that he gave your father?
He said, on one hand, you've led a very interesting life. You've accomplished a lot, and you've seen part of the American dream, and I know you'll make it if you keep at it. But he told him to stop sticking with the conventional financing angle. And Dad took his advice to heart, and 3 months later, he got the financing.
Chawla's dad hadn't just seen the American dream, he'd lived it. His father and 2 brothers were killed during violent clashes in the fight for Indian independence. As a kid, Chawla's father spent almost 10 years in a refugee camp. He left India in 1965 for Canada, where he eventually earned a PhD in chemistry before moving to the US. He passed away 2 years ago.
The day we arrived was July 7th, 1977, which is 7/7/77. Lucky day for us. We came here because my father, he was a scientist. He'd done well in government research, and he was becoming very prominent. But he hit a ceiling because of some racial discrimination issues in Canada. So, like anybody who's trying to leave a racial discrimination type environment, we moved to Mississippi. Yeah.
Dr. Chawla opened his first hotel in 1989. Now the family empire consists of 17 properties throughout the Mississippi Delta. But the Scion is the most expensive, ambitious project the Chawlas have ever done. For people that say that this is a terrible idea and this is risky and this is a bad investment, what have you said to them?
I don't need 300 million people to back my idea. I need 100 people staying in 100 rooms to back the idea on a nightly basis.
The deal certainly is different. Cleveland isn't exactly Trump country. In fact, it's overwhelmingly Democratic. And if the idea is to attract outside visitors, they're looking at a 2-hour drive from any major airport. As for the main attractions in Cleveland, there's Delta State University and the Grammy Museum, which hosts about 150 people a day. You know, they've never been in a non-luxury market. They've never been in Mississippi. So why did you think they would know what was best for Cleveland?
They don't know what's best for Cleveland. They know what's best for a particular type of guest. And the type of guest that they're trying to bring to the area is the same type of guests we're doing. The kind of publicity that we're getting and the resources that they're bringing to the table make it more likely to be a success than if we had just gone out there and pounded the pavement, hat in hand, saying, give us a shot.